EpicJazz MegaJackrabbit by Civvie 11. This is another Patreon request. I didn't really have a lot of fun with the Duke Nukem one. I think it was just kind of that shared like pain going through Duke Nukem 3D, a lot of the design decisions in the game, a lot of how the game portrays itself. It didn't sound like Civvie had a lot of fun, and I kind of didn't have a lot of fun with that one, if I'm being completely honest. But here, let's go give this a try, because I've never heard of this game.
So, Jazz Jackrabbit. Fuck! So like 2,500 years ago, this guy Aesop wrote a story about a tortoise and a hare, and now it's my problem. For posterity, I'm gonna summarize this story because they're probably gonna stop teaching it in kindergarten for being woke or whatever. A hare was throwing shit.
Come on, dude. Like, because I have to have this conversation every time this word comes up. 99% of conversations that the funny W word gets brought out, I honestly just turn my brain off, right? Because it's never in good. I obviously get this is hyperbolic. I get that this is meant to be, some sort of, comedic. I understand the logic here. You have to understand that I tune out anybody and their opinion when this word comes up, because for all intents and purposes, dear viewer, as we've discussed multiple times before, according to the Unsubscribed podcast, me reacting to things I have no business reacting to, I am DEI. I'm the DEI hire. I'm the woke, skittle-haired window licker, Brandon Herrera will talk about. So, I do have reservations when we start bringing this language into reactions. I don't want to deal with it. I hate dealing with it. I understand the issues, plaguing the entertainment industry. I watch Critical Jicker, right? The Message, right? Respectfully, keep the W word out of my chat. Please keep it out of my reactions. Thank you.
Hated a tortoise for being slow, so the tortoise challenges the hare to a race. And the hare is so confident that it stops in the middle and takes a nap, and the tortoise eventually overtakes him and wins. They always summed it up in my school as slow and steady wins the race. And don't fall asleep in gym class, meet me behind the bleachers and I'll give you some Adderall. Now imagine this story, but they give it the Michael Bay treatment and add explosions, speed, extreme 90s bullshit from the most extremely 90s named company, Epic MegaGames. When crisis strikes, the universe turns to one superhero, one of great strength and moral character, quick wit and inventiveness, incredible speed and flexibility, but most importantly, floppy ears and a... Yes, this possession vomit-colored rabbit is here to save the planet of Caritas from the evil Devon Shell. Devon Shell kidnapped Princess Eva Earlong, and you know how it is.
Nobody steals our...
I don't know, man, this does nothing for me, but I'm sure it awakens something in some people.
Probably.
Devon Shell wants to destroy Caritas. In this version of the story, the rabbit is the protagonist and the turtle is the gross nerd terrorist. I promise I'm not taking the story seriously and I'm not going to say much more about it. It's told through comic panels and animations at the end of each episode. This is one of the earliest credits for a young Cliff Bleszinski before he hit it big with, Gears of War, I guess. Let me check something on Steam for a second.
That's the one. Clearly.
People might argue with me, but I still think Unreal 2 was the hottest Unreal game. For real though, go to this website to get Unreal Gold and Unreal Tournament. If you want...
What's happening? I don't trust it.
Those other Unreal Tournament games, just pirate them. Fuck you, Tim Sweeney. In the man...
From a legal standpoint, I can't, obviously, okay piracy. Obviously, you want to make sure you're buying things. You want to make sure that you're doing everything through the proper channels. And if there is a discrepancy, such as with Pokemon not offering games anymore, such as Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal, Red, Blue, Yellow, Fire, Red, Leaf, Green, right? You definitely want to make sure that you're going through the proper channels, making sure that you're doing everything above board from a legal perspective, mind you.
Cliffy B is described as
the creative genius who designed jazz. Yes, Cliff is the oddball who thought up all the weird stuff in this game. After Jazz and Jazz CD, Cliff plans to wander the beaches of his hometown, LA, looking for babes.
So I'm playing the original DOS version of Jazz Jackrabbit because even though there's a source port, it just feels wrong to me. I can up the resolution, but then it feels like I'm playing a shitty Newgrounds Flash game from 2005. And
that was the era.
I know what you're saying. Go to the scaling options.
Oh no.
Yeah. EpicJazz works great, and it fixes some problems I have with this game, like not being able to see fucking anything more than 10 feet in front of you. I don't have a lot of experience with this game, since every time I've tried to play it, I got frustrated and stopped for reasons that I think are valid and won't piss anyone on the internet off. Also, this is the GOG version with all the Christmas stuff, and Jazz Jackrabbit loves Christmas. Okay,
Amazing.
let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the hedgehog. The hedgehog, kids. The Sonic Hedgehog. To say that Jazz Jackrabbit is a total ripoff of Sonic the Hedgehog is a little disingenuous because the games are actually very different. See, Jazz Jackrabbit has a gun, so he's really closer to Shadow the Hedgehog. And in general, Sonic has better level design. I think Jazz is faster though, which makes sense, right? I don't think the Noble Hedgehog was ever renowned for its speed.
So this is what it means to be derivative, though, right? Is that, yes, you can be your own legally distinct IP or be your own thing in its entirety, right? But you can just be seen as a derivative, right? Oh, well, you're just Zelda, but slightly to the left. Oh, well, you're just Mario with a different character, right? You're just insert game here. Oh, you're just a Call of Duty clone, right? Which is really funny when you think about it's the JonTron bit, right? GoldenEye 007 on the N64, and then Call of Duty comes along, and then the GoldenEye for the game, not GameCube, for the Xbox 360 is just kind of like a Call of Duty ripoff. That is the biggest slap in the face ever. It's wild. But that's what is meant by being derivative, right? This is why it's being known versus as your own IP and your own product. Versus being known as you're just a derivative or you're just slightly adjacent to something. And that is very much like some people are fine being derivative. Some people are fine trying to refine a formula or taking that formula and doing something slightly different, right? And there's people I'm assuming will say, Path of Exile is just Diablo but different, right? Which I could see from a certain point of view, right? This was meant by derivative.
There was the echidna, or whatever Tails is besides a bomb magnet. Eat shit, Tails, eat shit and die! Nah, but the most fun I had making this video was playing Sonic 2. Like, I booted up and play it a while, and then... Oh, hold on. I need to,
I like that he showcases the tracks changing.
So Epic Mega Games, right, they wanted to push tech forward, but they're not going to do that yet. They sure tried. We're a little jaded nowadays when it comes to old leaps in technology, but a side-scroller on PC that did this, that could run on a 486, there is still technical wizardry being used here, which can be credited to programmer Arjun Bruce. I've used that whole 486 thing before, but there's plenty of people in my audience who don't know how little power that actually is. Your average 486 ran at 33 megahertz, with a single core processor. The cheapest, shittiest smartphone you could possibly buy runs at about 2,000 megahertz with a quad-core processor. 33 megahertz was a lot compared to consoles of the time, but consoles also had dedicated graphics processors. Consoles were manufactured for games, and PCs were not. So that's why everyone in the PC world was so excited when the collection of advanced nanotech that usurped the vessel known to us as John Carmack got proper side-scrolling working in a DOS game. The PC was not designed for this, but people did it anyway. And Jazz Jackrabbit outperforms any 2D PC side-scroller I can think of aside from, like, Abuse, which from what I can gather ran a bit worse and needed twice the RAM, and came out a year later. No matter how impressive it was that this ran as fast as it did in DOS, the actual design of the game didn't take into account anything that anyone had learned after 2 Sonic games already came out, plus Sonic CD, which I know Epic fucking played because they ripped off the bonus stages from it. You know, when id Software ripped off Nintendo, they at least did it to try and get a job. This is just like...
You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it, and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox.
Jazz does feel like he moves faster than Sonic, and the screen is more zoomed in, which is a curse. Like in Sonic 1, and to a lesser extent in Sonic 2, you will run into traps that the developers set for you if you're not paying attention. The problem is that those traps in Jazz are every enemy present in the game. This is by design. If you crack open the game's manual, you'll find that there's a turtle mode, just like in Jill of the Jungle.
For those who cannot handle Jazz's incredible speed, the game plays at half speed. Hey, we don't blame you. Some people get dizzy while playing Jazz because it's so fast, but those kind of people also get dizzy eating cheese.
I don't know. I think there's a reasonable middle ground here, though, right? Like, if I play high ability strength Volt in Warframe, it actually starts to make me sick. I love it. I love being able to, like, not see what, you know, like, just play bumper cars with walls, just, you know, using my scythe over and over and over, just become the meat grinder. But it does start to make me sick after a while. And I don't really even have, like, photosensitivity issues. There's a couple things I've noticed that do it. Dark Souls Remastered on the Switch, not the Switch 2, the Switch 1. There's something about how it runs, and something about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 1 as well. It's maybe it's the 30 FPS, maybe it's how it's done. But it makes my eyes bug out, makes my eyes hurt, right? When there's too much flashing, not that I'm super photosensitive, right? Like, I could probably watch the Electric Soldier Porygon episode just fine, right? I choose not to, because I don't want to, like, actually go through that. Like, there's a couple things that I, as someone who doesn't really have photosensitivity issues, start to really have issues with. And I think there's a middle ground there, right? I think there is going too far. Obviously, like, so I guess accessibility adjacent, right? People complaining that Hollow Knight Silksong is too hard, and then the devs saying, "Oh, hey, maybe we'll implement an easy mode." I'm like, no, that's like saying let's give Dark Souls an easy mode. Like, just play the game, okay? It's okay to fail. It's okay to die again and again and again and again and again and again. It's okay to do that. Eventually, you will just brute force your way through it. It's what I did in Manus. Go look at the gaming channel, right? I did awful versus Manus in my most recent Dark Souls remastered playthrough. Like, despite being, I would argue, over-leveled. But some people just, you know, some people like me just have to brute force our way through things, right? We're not good at games. I think there's a healthy middle ground. So, I don't know. It's kind of a complex topic to talk about. Obviously, accessibility in terms of difficulty versus accessibility in terms of, like, physically getting sick in games, while technically adjacent, are technically two separate things. I appreciate that it exists. I think it's a cool novelty that it exists. There are certain situations, like, and that's why we have checks and balances, though. This was DOS era. I mean, depending on when this came out, I mean, Electric Soldier Porygon set, you know, actual standards in place for Japanese anime, right? Japanese animation, that there's certain checks done now to prevent, you know, kids from having seizure across the country when an episode airs, right? Like, there's things that are in place now. And I'm sure that, you know, this was just from an era where that wasn't as widespread. It just depends on the situation, right? Everyone's different. There is absolutely reason to have, even then, see, because I know he opened up this video with the whole tortoise and the hare being woke thing. Once again, I know it's hyperbole, but this is gonna be one of those things where I'm expecting the clapback to be, well, Kip, you're just trying to ruin games, and that's just woke ideology. Whatever nebulous definition you have for the word that day. So, I don't know. This is this is a little bit of a tough one. I think from a reasonable, objective standpoint, making sure people can play the game without being sick is great. The player should also understand where their limitations are, i.e. me if I try to play 5 hours of Volt and Steel Path at max ability strength, right? Like, I should know my limitations there. You should all, and there's also warnings in video games if you experience, you know, certain, you know, photosensitivities. If your doctor, you consult your doctor, right? Consult your healthcare provider. Are you healthy enough to play video games is how I'm going to word that. But even then, that still could come across as an insensitive way to word that, right? Like, there's a lot of interplay there, right? If you are prone to seizures, maybe, yes, go talk to your doctor, right? Go talk to your healthcare provider and ask if this is a thing you could or should be doing, right? Like, bro, how do I react to videos? I want to have fun with videos. I don't like being a walking PR factory. I really don't.
I never got dizzy. I got annoyed because trying to play this game is like trying to catch bullets in your teeth out the window of a speeding car on the highway. And if this was a skill issue, I'd be totally fine with it. I'd take the L and say that this game is just too rad extreme bodacious for me, but no. It's just not really designed that well. Here's a good example of this. Running down this hallway and there's an enemy speeding towards you. You have less than half a second between the time that enemy's nose appears on screen and when you'll hit it. 24 frames. Let's say that I have the fastest reaction time of any human being on the planet, which is about 100 milliseconds, which is about 6 frames. The average human reaction time is about 250 milliseconds, which is around 15 frames. You can see me trying to stop, which ain't gonna happen in time because Jazz is so slippery to control, especially in the air, but you can stop. But the chance that you'll notice the enemy coming and stop or shoot it in less than half a second, unlikely, and also take a frame away because I guess when your weapon hits the enemy, that's not when it's dead, it's 1 frame after that. It seems a little unreasonable, but that was the 90s for you. It was extreme. The manual is basically calling you a pussy if you turn on the slow mode, so I never did.
This is the TF2 logic, right? This is the TF2 logic of, oh, you want to go into training for MVM even though you've never tried Man vs. Machine? Well, are you sure you don't want to man up? Oh, you're playing casual, not quick play anymore. You're playing casual. Are you sure you don't want to play competitive, right? It's that subtle jab, like, oh, you can do this, you wimp, right? That's the interaction that comes across here.
Beware of falling rough. Fuck! Not only that, but your speed affects your jump height, so to do some of the platforming you need to get to max speed, it's just kind of uncomfortable even if it works. And can we talk about the less than generous hitboxes here? It's really cool that this ran on a 486, but I feel like the designers were more interested in making a fast game than one that isn't incredibly frustrating to play.
I feel like Sonic games and Sonic likes, right? Anything where it gotta go fast, right? I feel that it becomes hard to design because it's like the 3D games. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Egoraptor when we reacted to... Was it Sequelitis? No, it couldn't have been. I don't remember who it was, but we were talking... It was long ago. We were talking about Sonic and why it kind of fails in the 3D space. And it's because just when you get up to speed, you kind of, like, stop, right? Like, and I really have... In full disclosure, I really haven't played the 2D Sonics, if I'm being completely honest, right? I don't really have anywhere to speak on, any authority to speak on the 2D games. As far as I understand it, the momentum flowed a lot better. You were able to keep going for a little longer, but when in the 3D space, you are constantly stopping and going. Like, imagine Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, right? Let's do something like it's not sure, even City Escape, right? Because you can go down the winding streets, right? Like literally the intro to City Escape, right? But how many times have you just hit the wall or hit cars and they potentially slowed you down, right? So you try to get that speed going. The speed feels great, but you kind of come to a standstill. And I wonder if that's a limitation on tech. Like, I wonder if there was a modern kind of like a Breath of the Wild, and I hate to use that, right? Like a Breath of the Wild reimagining of Sonic, right, in the 3D space. I wonder, like, how it was like Inferno Plus's modded Halo, right? You know how it was like a 10-kilometer long map or something like that? Just have something like that. Instead of rendering, like, the entire environment, and sure, render the entire environment, right? Have something where it focuses on the linearity, right? The linearity, the level can obviously twist and turn, you have some verticality in there and some obstacles, right? But I wonder if that is the issue that Sonic runs into. And I'm mostly pulling from my experience with Sonic Adventure 2, right? I have yet to play some of the newer titles. Sonic's one of those that I just unfortunately haven't played a whole lot of. So I think it's interesting to consider. I think it's interesting to consider why Sonic works, why Sonic doesn't work, and adjacently, right? Why certain things work and certain things don't work. I think when we think about side-scrollers, right? What does a side-scroller, entail, right? It's that horizontal length, right? You're not necessarily worried about the 3D space. You're not necessarily worried about X, Y, and Z axes. You're worried about the x-axis, you're going forward and or potential back, depending if the level cuts you off or not. And you're also worried about your y-axis jumping over stuff, right? I mean, think back to like Super Mario 3, right? Or anything like any other side scroller, right? Like, you are progressing linear through the stage. And I wonder if that's the big disconnect between Sonic 2D and Sonic 3D, as someone who really has very minimal experience with Sonic and why the design does and does not work.
Great tech, very cool. I don't even think I could play this well when I was young enough to have the reaction time of an overstimulated child. You guys know what parallax scrolling is? It's when the background image moves slower than the foreground image to create the illusion of depth. It's a thing that came into prominence in gaming in the 16-bit era. Jazz Jackrabbit does not have this. So whenever something's supposed to be distant, like the night sky and
it looks
the
disjointed.
Moon, and you can say the PC wasn't powerful enough to do that in 1994. You'd be wrong, because Duke Nukem 2 did it in 93. It's not a huge deal, I'm just surprised it isn't here. Speed is actually your enemy in this game. Even if you have all the rapid-fire pickups you need to proceed carefully so you don't run straight into an enemy. The manual says shoot, and when in doubt, also shoot. Of the 6 original episodes, you've got... Wait a minute. Episode 4's thumbnail has Jill of the Jungle. Because if it's Epic Mega Games, it's cross-promotion, but...
For God's sake, what happened to her?
One of the expansion episodes has a planet called Industrious. You're here on Epic Street. This sign is advertising One Must Fall, an Epic published fighting game that came out the same year. The next room has a sign for Epic Pinball. I get it, guys, you're proud of your studio, but give me a break with this shit here. I had one of those things, and I lost the stupid and unnecessary little screw-in joystick nub for the D-pad, which is fine because that was stupid. And also, I think this kind of sponsorship is a little weird. Today's episode is sponsored by Advanced Gravis Computer Technology, despite the fact that they haven't existed for 28 years. So this gamepad, man, this thing may not have enough buttons to properly emulate even the Sega Genesis. It doesn't have Hall effect sticks. It plugs into the serial port. It has no shoulder buttons.
Oh, hey, Civvie.
Oh,
hello, Rat.
I'm doing a plug right now, Cancer Mouse.
I'm here to help. The Gravis gamepad, the official gamepad of Jazz Jackrabbit. No, really, you could call Epic and order one. It's right here on the end screen.
Uh-huh. Well, I've already got one.
You, laboratory haplogroup rodent, cease your clowning. It is below even you.
I really don't see the difference between you guys.
Such ignorance. I am of the D haplogroup. My ancestors are from our mother country, who braved the Mayflower. We hunted the great Cornish Rex. Finish your mission, low rodent.
The Cornish
Hey,
Rex.
wait a minute. You are definitely not the same mouse I talked to last time.
Shut up. Fuck you. Go back to Reddit. Fake edgelord. Call the low rodent a slur.
I don't know any mouse slurs.
Oh, well, there's Mickey, Hantapoop, Vermin still works. I gotta...
We're learning things today. We're learning about mouse slurs.
Look, they're trying to kill me. I have to do this.
Yeah, I get you.
Flawless.
This won't take long. You have a few weapons you can cycle through in the game. Your standard blaster, your bigger fire blaster, rockets that shoot in a spread pattern, and a bouncy grenade. All have clear uses. There's also a TNT weapon you don't find that often that nukes the screen, except you're always moving, you're going fast, so the screen is always changing, and I don't know, it doesn't seem that useful. If you don't have a rapid-fire power-up, or a max of 10 of them because the effect can stack, you're hammering on the control key like it's a QTE. And you can't fire fast enough sometimes because, like right here, you have all these ammo pickups in the way. The ammo pickups that you have to shoot to get ammo. Not the little ones, you just pick those up, the big ones you have to shoot. The game is pretty generous with ammo, unless you die. So there's a save system that'll restart you with 3 lives at the beginning of each level. It's a good compromise, right? You can save anywhere, and you have checkpoints. But if you do die or load your game, you lose all those weapons. You're back to square one and collecting more ammo. And while you can get tons of ammo, you'll be using tons of it, firing blindly in front of you. You know, unless you take it slow. Slow and steady wins the race.
Right, which is counterintuitive to gotta go fast.
But I don't think that's how they intended for it to be played. You get power-ups too, and some of them aren't straight out of Sonic. The fast feet, though, I mean, come on now. They're even inside little TVs like Sonic.
Amazing.
The best is this one, though, when you find these hip-hops. Described in the manual as half eagles, half pheasants, they'll give you some extra firepower until Jazz gets hit. Jazz's health is a bar, but don't let that fool you, you've got 4 hit points. Each carrot you collect will replenish one of them. I don't know why it's a solid bar like this, other than the fact that sometimes environmental hazards will take less off, but it doesn't matter.
I wonder if it's because it looks more sleek. I wonder, because I hear it's easy. And this is why everything has the weird Hulu menus nowadays, because it's easier to it's easier to program boxes than it is certain other things, right? It's easier to program like square spaces. I wonder if that's I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. I'm assuming that the bar is going to be, 100%, 75, 50, 25, 0, right? Your 4 hits, right? Divided up into 25% increments. This also does allow interplay if there is any sort of health upgrades. To say you're able to take 6 hits, right? The bar will decrease every so less amount. I don't know. Without actually having my hands on the game and trying to like understand how it works, that's the best guess I have, is that it does allow upward scaling, even downward scaling too. Let's say you have, I don't know, like a funny like Final Fantasy 14 Danger Dorito on you, a Vuln stack on you. Not saying that the game would have it, but like from a design perspective, right? Why you would do something like this rather than actual like boxes that would have to change, right? Cool, you have a Vuln stack on you, you take double damage. So instead of, 100, 75, 50, 25, 0, you could go from 100 to 50 to 0, right? Like, I think it allows for more modular play with the health bar, but I think the game has to like actually play into that though.
Because you're still going to be hitting the enemies more often, and sometimes the spikes don't hurt you. Like, why is the bird called a hip hop?
With their hippin' and the hoppin' and the bippin' and the boppin', so they don't know what the jazz is all about.
Oh God, Katie, no, not the Cosmic Clip. They get pretty stingy with those carrots outside of secret areas as the game goes on. Every now and then you'll also find a hoverboard, because it just wouldn't be the 90s if there wasn't something kinda resembling skateboarding. I don't particularly hate the combat, even if it feels kind of anemic. It feels like there are a lot of sound effects that should be there for enemy deaths. Most enemies disappear and turn into underwhelming tiny explosions. It's not very satisfying or weighty. I hate to compare it to Sonic, so I'll compare it to another mascot platformer. And the Jazz Jackrabbit fans in the audience will never forgive me.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, Bubsy.
Okay, I feel a little bad about that one, and in Jazz's defense, it does nearly everything else better than Bubsy. I'm not sure why these little turtles don't seem to hurt you, but you kill them anyway. Oh God, am I doing turtle genocide?
And I slaughtered them like that.
I always love a good prequel meme.
So you know in Sonic, how they'll throw a spring at the end of a long stretch where you've been running at top speed just to screw you over? Imagine that, but done more frequently and much, much worse. One of the reasons this sucks so much is because unlike other games, you don't drop onto a spring to bounce around. If you so much as touch a spring from any angle at any speed, you go flying. There was no place where this game's bouncy bullshit pissed me off more than in the second episode in Orbitus.
Oh, that looks frustrating. Oh, I hate that.
This pushes you into spike pits, and if you jump too high, a thing you have very little control over, you'll hit a bounce floor, which will send you up again, so you have to navigate this whole section again while being pushed around by these things. There's a lot of things to throw you around wildly in this game. Magnets, springs, bounce floors, bounce walls, getting hit by enemies. At the start of episode 5, you've got a guy shooting you from off-screen. No. No. Where was all this cruelty when the bosses show up? Because most of them can be easily cheesed. The episode 1 boss? Yeah, it's a joke.
Because you're not fully in the arena, therefore you're able to hide behind it. It's like how we were playing, I was playing Resident Evil 4 for the gaming channel, because I didn't have an original Resident Evil 4 2005 playthrough up on it. When you get to the island, like the first section, there's a section where you run into some dynamite ganado, and like the cinder blocks just block every single dynamite stick. It's wildly funny.
Here's another one. You can just sit back and fire. It took me 3.5 minutes, but it's done.
I mean, this is just gamerisms, right? Gamers will do this. We will find the easiest way to do something, and then we will abuse the heck out of it. This is why modern patch culture and stuff exists.
Devin Shell needs to step up his game. So this version of the game comes with 10 episodes, and while all the levels look pretty good aside from the lack of parallax scrolling, there are other problems I didn't think would come up in a platformer made this late into the era. Like foreground objects or platforms being indistinguishable from background ones. What do you think about these platforms here? Well, you're wrong. They're not platforms, they're backgrounds.
They're environment.
Even if they're clearly drawn to be closer to the foreground.
And that's the thing, is the visual clarity gets kind of muddled here. Yeah, I see why this is a problem.
That's an easy one, though. Wait, now you have parallax scrolling? Now you have it? What about this thing right here? Is that a background pillar? What about this icicle, huh? Well, kids, that's a Mach 11. What about these vines? Well, if you land kind of close to the vertical ones, you pass through. But if you land on the horizontal ones, you can walk on them. I'm not crazy, right? At least not about this. You remember those bonus stages? Well, depending on what difficulty you're playing on, you get more or less time to do them. I'm on normal and I only failed it once, but I didn't care because no matter how fast you do it, you only get one life out of it. This right here from a later stage in the game has you hopping across platforms, but you jump so high that you can't see where you're gonna land. The game likes to explode.
That's the Bubsy problem, where it's zoomed in so far when you jump, you don't see the enemy that you're jumping into.
Exploit your blindness. There are a couple things that Jazz does better than Sonic, like swimming. See, he brought his own snorkel so he doesn't drown. Don't try that at home, kids. And another thing, you can shoot and destroy environmental hazards. That's a point right there. That's good shit. There are even some bosses that require strategy, like this big owl that drops eggs on you that hatch to make more little owls. You have to learn patterns like a real boss fight. Most of the levels are mazes that fly by at lightning speed until the last section where you're hoverboarding through space, which is cool and a nice change of pace. Then you get to the final boss, which is a giant rabbit. Wait, what? I still hate Jazz's hitbox. This is just the last boss of the first 6 episodes. Jazz saves the princess and they kiss and get into a cab driven by Devin Shell. Oh, you little asshole. I gotta give credit to these animations. They're pretty cool, especially for...
I mean, for as many faults as it has, though, you have to look back and understand that this was an era in gaming, right? Like, building on the whole quote-unquote, like, just woke conversation earlier. Dude, I hate it. Every time I hate it. Just 99% of times, it just... Ugh. The complaint comes down to... And a lot of the complaints end up coming down to in a number of things. The homogenization of things, lack of a clear vision, overriding and overruling basic design elements, whether that be plot, characterization, gameplay mechanics, story expectations, right, to push some sort of narrative, right? I mean, this would be no different if we had, I don't know, John Kipp starring in a game, right? And I'm just super special, awesome, and I am the tankiest thing in the game, and there's no weakness, right? It's boring, right? Grats, you're included in the game, but why? Now, let's take the same example of John Kipp in a game, right? Let's hypothetically say that I'm a character or an enemy, right? And my frontal defenses are pretty great. I have high mitigations. But if you're able to, I don't know, flank behind me, Dark Souls style, or if you're able to jump behind me, side-scroller style, suddenly I take increased damage, right? Because I'm getting hit from the I'm being flanked, right? You see how that's interesting and that has a lot more interplay? So yeah, in a game, it's like, yeah, you have this really just overpowered enemy. Cool. It's really tanky. It kind of sucks. You know, this is a bad enemy. 0 out of 10, right? Versus an enemy where you have to have... And I'm not saying, like, there's not annoying enemies that aren't good, right? Like, playing Hollow Knight, the funny Viking bugs in Green Path, right? Where you first meet Shaw, first meet Hornet, right? Man, they're value. They hit hard. But you have to just, if you can time their jump, if you can time your jumps and you can jump behind them, suddenly you're doing damage, right? They have their frontal shield, they have really good reach, they can do a 3 to 4 swing, right? But if you're able to outmaneuver them and get behind them, like, there's interesting interplay. I found them annoying, but I didn't think they were a bad enemy. I thought that I just had to approach them from a different perspective. So we can take that and we can apply it to what is meant, right? It's the homogenization, the kind of dumbing down of a lot of things, misunderstanding certain things as well, right? Well, the tortoise and the hare is... What was I watching? Something about Doctor Who last night from the Critical Drinker. The Timeless Children or whatever it is, dude. I don't watch Doctor Who. I don't know. Point being, I guess like someone was supposed to be whoever the creator of the Daleks were. I guess like they were immobile or something, and the design decision was like, well, we didn't want someone in a wheelchair to be seen as evil or like to associate disability with evil. And I kind of just like Picard facepalmed, and I'm like, no one should ever equate that as a 1-to-1, okay? Like, if somebody equates that as a 1-to-1, like, in front of you, you ask if they're actually stupid, right? That's not how that works, right? And then there's the counter argument where people are just stupid and people will equate it anyways. But that's why you call people stupid. That's not how that works. You're a reasonable and rational person is not going to look at somebody, with some kind of handicap, disability, movement penalty. I can't believe I went the gaming route on that one. I apologize. And just equate it to something. That's such a dumb thing. Like, that's so incredibly dumb. I don't know. This has become a very interesting topic to talk about, and I'm starting to get a little into the weeds here. I think that this was just a different era in gaming, right? Like damsel in distress status, rabbits with guns. Sure, mechanics could be better, obviously. Tortoise in the hare, trying to weave that in. Take it slow. Slow and steady wins the race. I like what's going on here, and this does, for all intents and purposes, still feel like art. It doesn't feel like a standard open world slop Ubisoft game, right? Right? Like, that's the difference here.
The time. They're charming in that DOS game kind of way. After that, you've got more levels, more expansions, and of course, there's a few Christmas levels too. Why not? And then, more Christmas levels because Holiday Hair 95. That's not the Bunny Holiday Epic Mega Games. So I didn't want to get into Jazz Jackrabbit 2 in this video because it's such a wildly different game. They learned from the mistakes of the first one, and so now it's much farther zoomed out and way easier. The weapons are better,
looks a lot cleaner.
The feedback is better, and clearly someone understood that Jazz moved too fast by default, and so you have a run button. The levels seem a little more straightforward. Everything feels a little less like Sonic, but a little more like Earthworm Jim. You get extra playable characters too. This is a Windows game. I'm just running it. No emulation or anything.
Interesting.
It's not a bad game at all from what I can tell, but I don't think it's interesting enough to warrant a whole video. It is, at least, fun enough for me to understand why there's still a dedicated Jazz Jackrabbit community. Jazz has cool new moves. I especially like the helicopter ears thing because it lets you have a little more control over your descent. The new flamethrower weapon? Fucking aces. The whole thing feels a lot less slippery and awkward, and the graphics are pretty good for the time too. Nice animations. It's weird to see early, DirectX stuff. Unfortunately, nobody bought Jazz Jackrabbit 2, so the plans for a fully 3D sequel were scrapped.
Honestly, might have been for the best.
I can't imagine why no one wanted to play this 2D mascot platformer in 1998.
Yeah.
Holy.
That's the unfortunate part about being behind the times, yeah. I mean, good idea. They, do what game devs nowadays, I shouldn't say game devs, right? Do what game management nowadays can't do and, learn from mistakes and stuff like that, right? Instead of, we must push this specific thing. Good idea. Seems like they learned from a lot of critiques and criticism, but unfortunately it was just too late. When you're fighting with literally Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2, you're fighting with a bunch of these, right? Like Banjo-Kazooie, I've heard is very good, just never playing it. Yeah, very strong competition here.
Shit. Oh my god, Epic the same year you put out Unreal? Wow, okay.
Unfortunate.
Give me a minute, kids. That
hurts.
Wow. We do have access to a demo for that 3D platformer, so we can see what that looked like. It runs on the Unreal Engine. It's a cool idea. They've completely given up on Jazz being fast. The tech can't handle it. Although you will get...
I think, right, like we said earlier, with a modern incarnation of Sonic, a modern, back to roots, having levels that are incredibly long and linear, right? I feel that's a technological limitation, right? As you said, hey, they gave him money being fast just because tech, right? I don't know. It's interesting to think about what could have been.
Some speed if you...
jump? Yeah, you do the bunny hop.
Actionable pun detected.
Uh-huh.
But I mean,
they kidnapped
it's fair.
Jazz's children, and now we gotta go find them in a semi-open world 3D platformer. This game is, again, completely different from the last. It's not bad. It's still an early version, but you can see what they were going for. The movement is good enough. It doesn't feel bad to control, except when the whole thing slows down. No joke. This is the original version, because the patched version from the community, well, it ran too fast.
Wild. Oh my god, yes! Yes!
No, I don't know how to speed limit an Unreal Engine 1 game. Forcing 60 FPS didn't work. There's some kind of elemental attack system that you can swap onto your weapons so that the grenade launcher becomes a rocket launcher that shoots sideways.
I feel like this is very ambitious for the time. I like what they're doing. I feel it's a little too ambitious.
Hey, I get it. You guys were going to release your 3D mascot platformer in 2000? This is weird. I'm not used to Epic
Majora's
being so
Mask.
behind on the times. This would have been really cool in like 1998. It's no Heretic 2, but it seems like it could have become something fun. It's been interesting to see how the series evolved over just 6 years. From Sonic knockoff to decent 32-bit platformer to Unreal-powered 3D platformer, it just feels like each game is a couple years late to the party. Cliffy B said as recently as 2023 that he'd like to see the character come back, and sure, why not? Aren't we in the era of bringing every IP back from the dead in search of more money? Fuck it. Jazz Jackrabbit 2025. Jazz Jackrabbit Resurrection. Jazz Jackrabbit in Fortnite.
Jazz is like the new Coke. It'll be around forever.
I still think the best Jazz Jackrabbit is that Doom TC.
We're getting a new Bubsy. That's wild to consider. I don't know. Like, this definitely feels like it's a problem that goes back, you know, decades at this point, right? Where we just have an IP and we keep trying to do more and more things with the IP to, you know, try to maximize value, extract as much value as you can from it, right? I don't know. I mean, if it's done well, right? Obviously, if it's done well, it's done well, and that's all that matters. But the ability for it to be done well is what gets called into question, right? I don't know. It's a hard one to really think about. At the end of the day, I mean, enjoy what you enjoy, right? Obviously, there's valid criticism and valid critiques, right? Let's make sure that we're having valid criticisms and critiques and not just using some sort of label, you know, like woke to just label everything that doesn't agree with your worldview, right? That's the issue I've run into personally and why I have issues with videos like that. Not necessarily that criticisms aren't valid, but that it becomes an umbrella catch-all term. And when that happens, I just eject from the conversation because that's not a conversation I just want to have. It's not a conversation that's going to lead to anywhere conducive. But I mean, like, yeah, I thought that a lot of these discussions were very well pointed out. I thought they were very well painted in terms of like, this is why this works. This is why this doesn't work. You know, this is the progression. These are the issues that we run into in regards to not being able to see what's underneath you, right? And then obviously they learned, right? Bubsy 4D. Oh my God, please no, not Bubsy 4D. Anything but the... I don't know, but obviously come to your own educated conclusion on this. Is this something that I would play? Most likely not. But it's something that it's like, it's cool to hear about, it's kind of cool to learn about, and you also get to compare and contrast where things were to where things are, and be able to kind of, you know, just expand your worldview a little bit. But thank you everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Civvie, for another amazing video. A game that I honestly never even heard of until this video. I thought it was a really good breakdown of it. I thought it was a really good summary of what it does well, what it could do a little better, and ultimately what ended up happening. Thank you everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.